we have our Board of Selectmen liaison, Scott Murphy. He's a little bit under the weather tonight, and he asked if we could move the agenda item up from 9 to number 2 here, just so we can let him get some rest after he gives his report. So I need a motion to open and amend the agenda to move item number 9 to item number 2.
So
Move this. Thank you. Seconded by Jen. Thank you. And now, all in favor, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Motion carries 8. Nothing. Yeah, 8-0. And now I need a motion to actually open and to actually move the agenda item number 9 to item number 2 and to renumber items number 3 on down. Wendy, you got that?
yes. So
That's funny.
second.
All right. Who seconded?
Mary.
Mary Ann. Thank you. All right. So all, any discussion on moving the agenda item? No, hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, 8-0. All right. So Scott, if you're with us, could you go ahead and give us your Board of Selectmen liaison report? Thank you.
The other two, there's 2. No, I don't think he's on.
He's being told the webinar has expired and he's trying to rejoin. Can you resend him the link? Are you able to? Everything was running so smoothly until agenda item number 2. All right.
Were you able to send it to him, the link?
I wasn't, because even though I accepted it, I think it's because we're in this communication black hole and I don't get good reception.
No problem. I'll just check his message. I just sent it through there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, just catch it on the phone or something.
All right, so yeah.
Yeah, he's just said still coming up as retired.
I can see it.
Doesn't work.
People comment.
Yeah.
The old days. Get the rotary done. Maybe try to call my FaceTime. Yeah. Speaker rattles.
Scott, you're on speakerphone. Don't say anything. All right. So,
Get in. It tells me meeting is expired.
all right. Well, it sounds like you're loud enough on my speaker. If you want to go ahead and deliver your report, we don't need to see your smiling face. No offense.
No problem. We'll move along here. So
Perfect.
give me 1 sec because I wasn't in my update. Bear with me. So just a quick update Board of Selectmen, so we were able to select a building committee, which we were pretty excited about for the school. So hopefully everybody is excited. So that was interviewed by Emily, myself, and Bruce Wilson. And we were successful in selecting a chair who is going to be Graham Curtis. I don't know if Graham is in the audience tonight, but Graham helped to was the chair of our library building committee. So that is great news from an experience standpoint. We're leveraging Graham in another venue, and Graham has built in his professional career hundreds of schools. So we couldn't be more enthusiastic about that. Supporting Graham and the team will be Diana Colcord, who's an architect and a construction manager, Sharon Shoemaker, who's an architect, Woody Weiss, who's obviously our energy czar in town, our energy expert, who's also on the library building committee, Bob London, who's built several projects in town, including the North Madison Firehouse, Amanda Mitchell, who's an attorney, and then George Nowotny, who's the town engineer for Cheshire, and he's also coming off of the library building committee. We also then selected 2 alternates, Karen Rankin and Kathy Rasmus. So that is our committee. We are beyond thrilled to get this going, and I know we've got, I think Billy mentioned 11 plus RFQ responses already, so they have their first task ahead of them, and need to go get sworn in at the town clerk's office. So I think that's it. So.
All right, well, thank you very much. Good work, Emily. Thank you for helping. And please extend our thanks to Bruce as well. So thank you. All right, go rest up and feel better.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye. Okay. So item number 3 now is to go into executive session. So I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the appointment of a district athletic director. And we need to invite TJ Salutary, Catherine Hart, Heather Dobson, and Craig Cook. Dr. Cook. Sorry, Kathy.
No, I don't,
Oh, Emily, sorry.
and I'll send it.
Thank you. All right, any discussion on going into executive session for that purpose? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Say no. I need a motion to come back on the record from the executive session. So moved Emily, seconded
I'll
by
say.
Jen.
Oh,
Okay.
there.
Oh, that's right. All right, any discussion? No, all in favor, aye. All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? No. Motion carries 8-0. Okay, so now we need a motion to approve the appointment of the district athletic director who we just all met.
So moved.
I'll take Galen, and next one was what I heard. Was Maureen. All right, any discussion? No, I would just say that we want to thank very much all of the volunteers, and there's a lot of input from a bunch of different people that we just learned about that went into this process. Our board volunteers, Jen and Maureen, who served on the selection committees. Special thanks to our administrators and, especially Catherine and TJ, who kind of led the effort. We seem to have really gotten a good candidate here. So thank you to all for your participation, and thanks to our candidate for stepping up and applying. And so with that, all in favor of approving the appointment of Chris Farrell as District Athletic Director, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Any no abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Thanks very much. Chris, we'd like to give you a few moments if you'd like to stand up, just introduce yourself.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Folks who you brought along with you.
Yes, so my girlfriend Hildy is in the back. Yes. My name is Chris Farrell. I'm, very excited and humbled for this opportunity. The process that I went through in the last month was very thorough. It was excellent. It drew me closer to, wanting to be the next athletic director here, just because of the thoroughness and the community feeling throughout the whole process. I'm also very fortunate to have my building principal in my current district here. He's surprised to be here tonight, so it was very, very nice by him. Obviously I've been in my current district for 17 years. It's obviously bittersweet. I'm very excited for the next challenge in my career. I'm very excited to be, here in Madison. But I definitely will miss, Carl and everyone else back in Plato. So thank you so much.
Thank you and welcome. The starting date is July 1st. So we may get a few visits before then, but welcome and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. If I could just say publicly too, as was said, thank you for going through the process, Chris. It was an extensive process. Having your building principal come here, that's nothing that I have ever seen in my career. He says two things. I think it says one about you and the connection you had with your building principal, and how important that is. Also says something about Carl's character. I've known Carl for a few years, and he did an ES visit in the district that I was previously at. So Carl Johnson, thank you. High school principals are out a lot of nights, and for you to come here tonight, it means a lot to Madison. I know to Chris, and says a lot about you. So thank you for being here. Thank you, TJ Solitary, for running through the process. You really led the process. Appreciate that. Heather Dobson and Catherine Hart for their heavy involvement in the process. So it's really great to be here. As Seth said, thank you to everybody who gave input throughout the process. It was really great, and we got a great result. I look forward to many years here. Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot my shout out to Heather. Sorry, Heather. You're like the interior lineman. Just keep getting everything done for us. And you never did name mention. So Heather Dobson. Thank you. All right. So for those of you who are here for this particular appointment, feel free to skinny out if you'd like at any point. You don't have to sit for the whole meeting. But you're more than welcome. Congratulations. And now we will have our school community session, public participation portion. Is anybody here interested in speaking? And yeah, we have a little introduction, and then we'll, yeah, come on up and we'll do our little introduction, and then you can.
So I'll just say really quick, so the board welcomes public comment in person and online at our meetings. We ask when you're speaking that you please state your name and your address. We ask that comments are limited to 3 minutes. I'll give you a notice when you have 30 seconds left. The board is happy to hear from our community, but it should be noted that at a business meeting, the board or administration will not respond. The public comment period is not a time for public discussion. So if necessary, the community member will be contacted for follow-up. So anyone in person can just raise their hand, and if there's anyone on Zoom, they can also raise their hand, and when we will call upon them. So we have someone in person?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
All right. My name is Matthew Guarnieri. I'm president and founder of the Italian American Defense League. I live in Clinton, Connecticut. Our organization has members that live and reside in Madison and along the shoreline. The goal of our nonprofit is to promote education, portray Italians positively, and to preserve traditions. And one of those traditions happened to be Columbus Day. When reviewing your school calendar, we noticed that Columbus Day is the only holiday not listed on your school calendar for next year. It says school holiday, professional development day. So when I attended the last meeting, I asked if this was an intentional move to remove Columbus Day or if it was an oversight. So again, I'm here today. Columbus Day and the school calendar was not added to the agenda. So my goal in making these brief comments is to explain to you the significance of Columbus Day to Italian Americans. When you look at Italian American history, it actually starts in southern Italy. Upon unification of Italy in 1861, the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, which included Sicily and Italy up to what you know as Rome, as the Kingdom of Two Sicilies. And all of the economic prosperity that was in the Kingdom of Two Sicilies moved from the south to the north. As a result, the southern Italian farmer was impoverished. Many of the political influences of that time, the Hungarian influence, the English, the French influence, those soldiers came down and they plumaged, enslaved, and could do all the horrible things that we don't want to imagine to the southern Italian. As a result, those were the events that led to the Great Arrival, the masses of southern Italians coming to the United States. When they came to the United States, they worked for the lowest wages, sometimes under contracted labor, and they were considered, because of their dark complexion of southern Italians, they were considered Black. And there was a lot of racism from the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant establishment against those Italians. There was one event in New Orleans on March 14th, 1891, where 11 Italians were lynched for a murder that they didn't commit. The police chief there, David Hennessy, was murdered. And after the murder, the mayor, Mayor Shakespeare, he basically said, go round them up. They rounded up hundreds and murdered 11 of them. That instance caused problems diplomatically between Italy and the United States. You know, we have the internet now. Back then they did not, but this was a story that was known worldwide. And as a result, the following year, 1892, the 400th anniversary, President Benjamin Harrison, he made his first proclamation for Columbus Day. Now, Columbus Day was already celebrated in the United States as an American holiday, going back all the way to the 300th anniversary in 1792. But from that day forward, 100 years after, Italians championed that holiday, and Columbus Day became intricately woven with the Italian American social justice and immigrant story.
Thank you very
So
much.
I am asking that for the next meeting, you add Columbus Day to the agenda, and that you add Columbus Day, and as we said before, if you are looking to, as part of a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, to include others, the Italian American Defense League, and all of the Italian organizations under the Conference of Presidents support adding Indigenous Peoples' Day to the Friday after Thanksgiving, and maintaining Columbus Day as a traditional American and Italian holiday. So please consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone on Zoom? Would like, if you're on Zoom and you'd like to participate, just raise your hand. Anyone else in person who would like to speak this evening? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so up next is newly numbered item 6, Board of Education Student Representatives Report. Are either Isabel or Lucy with us today, or both? Great.
So I guess I'll get us started. First of all, we're really nearing the end of the school year here. We at hand just finished our spring break, and with that, we only have about 30 school days left. And of those 30 school days, the next week will be AP testing for most of our upperclassmen. And another big test for our juniors is a national science assessment, which will be taking place next Wednesday, May 4th. And some other big events are the Spring Fling, which is kind of our homecoming this year, which is happening on April 30th. Tickets are on sale on Infinite Campus, and people are definitely starting to get excited about that. I've heard plans of where we're taking pictures, where are we going for dinner, your normal high school dance activities. So it's really nice to hear the energy coming up about that event. Additionally, on Thursday, this Thursday at 7, Hands Got Talent is a fundraiser that's happening as a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity, and tickets are either $10 or $5 with a canned good donation. We also have junior prom coming up, which is May 20th, and senior prom June 4th. And as a last cumulative event for our seniors, graduation is happening June 14th.
Right, I'll take it from there. So this Wednesday, we're going to have Wellness Wednesday again, the first one since our break. And then we're also going to have a 30-minute pause session on Friday. And on that Friday pause, we're going to work on what we call helping hands, which are like nomination forms that commemorate students and staff who have been exceptionally engaged in the school community and helped others. So it's always like a good experience, especially as we near the end of the year, recognizing people in our school community who have had a good impact. And then also we're going to be working a little bit on seeding the first steps for the new advisory committee structure, which is going to start next year. So next year, instead of traditional PAW, which is an alphabetical group, students will be able to select a group to do discussions about harder topics like mental health and like substance abuse. And they're going to be able to pick people to be in those groups with them instead of having those assigned alphabetically like it's been done in the past, which is really exciting. And I think it's going to allow for some really great conversations to start happening in our school in the next few years. And I think students are actually really excited about that. So that's probably going to get a pretty good response tomorrow. And then May 1st, this Friday, I believe, is decision day for colleges. So all of the seniors, especially those who haven't decided yet, are a little bit like excited. There's a lot of buzz among the senior class right now. And then to celebrate, probably the following week, we have a day where all of the seniors wear like merchandise from their school, like a sweatshirt or a t-shirt. And then we take lots and lots of pictures, and it's like a very fun day for all of the seniors. And we're moving that back a little bit this year. Usually we do it on May 1st, but this year we're going to push it back a few days just because the college process this year has been like very mixed up a little bit, with people only doing most of their tours to make their decisions in the past week. So just so people have time to get merch for whatever school they decided on, we're going to move the date back a little bit. But otherwise, everyone I think that I've heard from had a great break, and we're all looking forward to finishing the year strong. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both. Any questions? Representatives? No, thank you very much, and go and get your homework done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we are at newly numbered item 7, the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Klaskin. Short report tonight. Yesterday, Mr. Salvatore and I were able to attend a luncheon recognizing Connecticut Association of Public Schools Superintendents Student Award winners, and Katie Biner and Darian McMahon from Daniel Hand were celebrated for their amazing student leadership. As TJ shared with them at lunch, they're basically irreplaceable. We tasked them with finding somebody to take over some of the leadership tasks that they do at the high school. It's going to be very difficult, and they're going to go off and do great things and represent Daniel Hand and the town of Madison very well. So sorry to see him go, but it's a really exciting time of the year. There are lots of scholarships that Madison students receive, but I just want to highlight one in particular because it's a statewide scholarship. That's not something that a student in Madison has ever won before, and as far as I can tell. So there is a scholarship in honor of Dawn Hotchfront, who is the principal at Sandy Hook Elementary School that lost her life on that day protecting students, and Megan Hart has won that scholarship for her outstanding leadership and qualities. So Megan is a proud student at Daniel Hand High School. We're very happy for her and her family for winning that scholarship. There will be a scholarship night at Daniel Hand. We'll be awarding many more scholarships, which we'll highlight to the community. Also wanted to share, we were watching very closely over break the number of COVID cases in town and in our area. I am pleased to report it's been very minor impact to our district. Our numbers in our staff and students are much lower than what we had seen reported for our town. So pleased and certainly hopeful that will continue. So I thank our students and families for staying safe and sharing that information with us. And so it was good to see low numbers when we returned, and really excellent student attendance this week. A couple recognitions that we'll participate in tomorrow is Administrative Assistance Day. So Wendy, thank you for always keeping me on track, and thank you for our amazing administrative assistants throughout the district. And then for next board meeting, we will bring forward, because we always do this in May, or try to do this in May, our teacher leaders, to the district. But the Teacher Appreciation Week will happen before that. So I want to recognize the Teacher Appreciation Week is May 2nd through the 6th, and congratulate and thank our amazing teachers here in Madison Public Schools. So as I mentioned, next board meeting we will have our teacher leadership present to recognize them. That was all I have for my report today. Thank you.
Correct. Next is board members' comments. Newly numbered item number 8. I would just echo what Dr. Cook said about Administrative Assistance Day. We have several administrative assistants and similar positions throughout the district, and we greatly appreciate all of their great support, keeping the trains on time and moving things along and keeping our educational processes smooth for the whole school community. So thank you so much. And the only other thing I wanted to say as part of my comments is that Steve was kind enough to bring along some past editions of the Education Week periodical for folks to grab if you're interested. And so it's a little light.
Because I'm sure you don't have enough to read.
So thank you, Stephen. That was very thoughtful of you. You can grab them on the way out. Grab them quick because they're hot. So, all right. Anyone else have any comments they'd like to add?
I'd like to make a comment to thank Wendy personally as well. She does so much beyond just supporting, just Craig. She has all of us that she has to wrangle, and it's like sometimes it's like wrangling cats. I know I've gotten several. I need reminders, and I'm so thankful for Wendy. But even just adapting to all of this tech, and it's just so much, and it's been a lot in the last 2 years. And you've done it with such grace, and I want to say thank you for that.
Absolutely.
You're here. Anyone else?
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wendy.
Every one of us absolutely agree. Thank you.
Yes.
We're so grateful for all.
We know where to go because of you.
Oh, good.
Right. So, thank you very much, everyone. Now we have another opportunity at newly numbered item number 9 for audience response to information presented. The audience members have comments based on the earlier agenda items tonight. Anyone online, Wendy? No? Okay, thank you. All right, now we are fortunate enough to move back into our normal numbering. So for item number 10 on the agenda is our board committees and liaison updates, beginning with our curriculum and student development chair, Stephen.
We haven't met since the last meeting. Our next meeting is May 10th. So we have no report.
Thank you. Facilities committee, Emily.
Yep, I just have a brief update. We haven't met since our last meeting, but as you may recall from my last report, we were in the process of interviewing firms for the Brown School project. We did review the scope and service of 4 firms that we selected. And the review committee was myself and Galen and Stephen, Seth, Dr. Cook, and Phil McMinn, our facilities director. And we did interview 4, and we unanimously voted to hire Tech-Don architects to work with the town for the architectural and engineering services. So they were the least expensive among the 4 bidders that were advanced for review. And we had 2 other low bidders who did not meet the scope requirements. We were all very impressed with their presentation and their scope of work. And we were thrilled. So the committee recommended that the Board of Selectmen who then approved the proposal in the amount of $289,200. So we're already, Bill's busy working with Texan architectural engineers. So moving forward. And my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Finance committee, Galen.
Thank you, Seth. The Finance Committee met today from 5:35 to 5:55. Dr. Cook, Finance Director Stacy Novitz, Chairman Seth Klaskin, and committee members Emily and I were in attendance. We covered the district's end-of-year balances and spending. Stacy walked us through the line items. Our current projected available funds are about $130,000 versus deficits of $126,000 for a net of approximately $4,400. This is in the context of a $60 million budget, so I think Stacy basically nailed the landing. Line item details are available on request, and we'll have more precise estimates next month. The next item was a preview of the school referendum bonding process, and the district is currently working with both its bond counsel and bond consultant on financing options for the school renewal and other major town projects. The projected dates for bond issuance are driven by the estimated cash flow timelines, which are subject to some change. Projected interest rates will also be determined by market conditions and are subject to change. However, our early estimates are for bond anticipation notes, which are basically short-term bridge financing vehicles, to be issued perhaps July of this year, 2022, at about a 1% interest rate. Again, on July 23rd at 1.75%. And then the first actual bond would be scheduled for approximately July 24th at an estimated rate of 3.295%. And I do want to emphasize that these are our best estimates, but subject to market conditions, and the numbers could change. Also, as an aside, the high school debt will roll off the Board of Education's books. I think it's 2024-25, and we'll see budget savings in 25-26. And a related note, Colliers is working to submit the state application by the end of June. The last item on the agenda concerned the town budget referendum, which is going to be held on May 17th. The polls will be open at hand, Polson and Brown, where students will have a remote day. There were no public comments or questions. And our next meeting is at 5:30 on May 24th. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody attend. That's the report.
Any questions for Janet? No? Okay. Personnel Committee, Maureen.
The Personnel Committee is meeting to discuss and negotiate the MEAS contract that's been ongoing, and we'll be meeting again in May.
Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay, Policy Committee, Diane is a little bit under the weather and unable to be with us this evening. So we will forego the Policy Committee report. What I will say is any items that we're advancing from first reading to second reading on tonight's agenda will continue to do so. And those are noted. But we will not be, we'll wait until after the next Policy Committee meeting to advance anything new. Okay. So we'll just move the agenda that was for tonight's Policy Committee meeting over to the next Policy Committee meeting. Those items that are up, moving from first to second reading tonight are Policy 3100.3 petty cash accounts, Policy 3130 money in school buildings, Policy and Regulation number 3281 grants, gifts, and bequests to the district, Policy number 4112.5 drug-free schools, and that's for rescission. Policy number 4116 alcohol, tobacco, and drug-free workplace. Policy 5090.7 drug, alcohol, tobacco, and inhalant use by students. And finally, Policy and Regulation number 5141 and 5141R fundraising activities. You do have in your packet those items. In addition, you have a little notes sheet that provides notes on each one and what the amendments or rescissions are occurring for. So unless there are any other questions, we'll move on to the Learn Liaison. Mary Ann, thank you.
Yes, that was held April 14th from 9 to 11 in Old Line. Superintendent's perspective this particular month was Old Saybrook, the superintendent, Jan Caruccio, and just presented the positive outcomes resulting from the COVID pandemic. How they're working their way back to a good place. The executive director talked about new hires and resignations in the magnet schools. Agency update, they had, they're trying to get the teacher residency program started where they can get teachers. And we have talked about that before. I think I gave you that information, where they bring teachers in, or they start out as maybe paras, and they try to get them to come into the school and become teachers and help them out that way. That was all that went on in that particular.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Moving on to the Ad Hoc Town American Rescue Plan Funding Committee. Emily, could you report on that?
Yep, the group did not meet last week, but continues to meet weekly to plan a process for review and consideration and distribution of funds. I'll keep you all posted.
Thank you. Any questions? None. Next item is the ad hoc town marijuana advisory committee. Mary Ann, our liaison, could you report on that?
So I did not go to that meeting because I had
Oh, yes,
Jen went and she's gone to report.
perfect,
Yeah,
thank you.
appreciate that she went.
No
Thank you so
problem. So that, the marijuana legislation advisory committee met on Thursday, April 14th. There was a nice presentation on the marijuana legislation from a Quinnipiac University law student named Vincent D'Amour. It was noted in his presentation that edibles are not covered in this act, in the legislation. Second line item, we discussed and took action on a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen regarding the prohibition of retail sales and commercial product and processing of cannabis and its byproducts. So we are recommending that the town would want to address this by ordinance. And then we also discussed and took action to recommend to the Board of Selectmen regulations on usage on town-owned properties and other properties. And we also discussed the establishment of a municipal sales tax for the products. And then we also are looking to recommend amending current regulations to include cannabis, much as what we have done in the policy committee, because current policies for the town do not address cannabis. And we are also recommending to the Board of Selectmen to take the question of sale of products to referendum. If it were to pass in referendum, then we would recommend the sales tax be assessed. So right now, it sits in the Board of Selectmen's office.
Any questions? Jen, thank you very much for covering. You did a fine job. Thanks for reporting. All right, so that's all for the reports. Action item 11. We need a motion to approve installation of an EV charging location or locations at Brown, Polson, and Han. This was an initiative of the town that sought to collaborate with the district and the board to locate these EV charging stations at Brown, Polson, and Han. And it has gone through Bill McMinn and the facilities committee. If Emily would like to say anything on this, and then before we have someone raise the motion, that would be great.
I would just like to, if we could clarify the motion a little bit, because what we voted on last time is just express our support for installations. You know, they're applying for grants.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been quite to the, we're not at the point of installation per se, but more what we talked about last time at facilities. And the last week's board meeting, if I'm remembering correctly, was more a motion that we express our support for this to go forward. Is that how folks are calling it?
I think that's important because it's
There's grants you have to apply for.
it's dependent on grants, and I don't think the board wants to take a vote to pay for it when we were asked to sponsor space and allow it to occur. So that's a good point. Motion to,
So if I could just maybe amend
Yeah.
the motion to
perfect, thank you.
to express the support of the Board of Ed for the potential future installation of EV car charging stations at Brown, Polson, and Han. That sound reasonable?
That's perfect. Potential installation.
Yes, supporting the concept.
Yeah.
And what Bill really wanted was a, expression of our support to proceed, and if it all was going to plan, that we would support installation at the schools.
I still have Can we discuss?
Absolutely.
I
Well,
saw-
we don't have the motion yet. I'm just
Oh,
trying to catch up with writing it. So hang on 1 second. Okay, so the way it would read now, as I understand it, it's a motion to express support, the support of the Board of Ed, for potential installation of EV charging locations at Brown, Polson, and Han.
I think that's accurate. Is that right, folks?
Yeah.
Yep, I think that was really the intent.
Yep.
Of the discussion. So,
We support them moving forward with the consideration of this.
okay.
Yeah.
So I accept that as the motion from Emily. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now we can have discussion and any questions.
I guess I have trouble thinking about the traffic and the, in those three places and with all of our sports, with all of our, and I sort of understand that it would be used after hours, but I don't know, I would have to know so much more about how it can be controlled. Because it's almost like a gas station.
Well, it would be one of 10 charging stations in town. So it's not like the school ones are the only shops in
No,
town.
I understand, but this,
But-
I'm thinking more about the school,
Right,
the other places.
yeah. So I think there was the idea that during the school day would be used obviously by faculty and staff or students, whoever, during the day, as we monitor the school buildings. I think the example came up last time is like the track, for example, or the playgrounds. After school hours, people can use the track or play on the playgrounds, but they're monitored during the day, whether that's by various staff at those sites. So I think the thought was after school, but it would be more, if you're going for a sports event at school, you can plug in your car. We didn't really anticipate a lot of people going out of their way to charge at Polson when you could charge downtown, or when you could charge at the rest stop.
Or at home.
Or at
Depends on
home.
where they live.
Sure,
So if it's
but
convenient
if
where
they,
live.
if they have an electric car, they presumably have a charging station at their home too.
Yeah, hopefully.
But I mean,
And we talked about signage.
yes, and it would be clear that, this is for, not to be used during school session.
I think maybe we could do a back of the envelope calculation about how many cars there are, what's likely traffic, and just
Yeah.
really something quick and dirty.
Yeah.
It might not be, there might not be that
Might
much
not be
demand
an
for it.
issue at all,
Might not be an
I
issue.
know, but it could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Can I ask a question?
Unfortunately,
No, you-
unfortunately not. Sorry.
That's great.
But I'm good. I think it's follow up with this.
Yeah, I would invite you, you can follow up with an email, and.
Well, I live with her, so.
He lives with me.
Oh,
He
okay.
lives
I sincerely.
Instead of being
Bill
We'll
will
talk
keep us
later.
posted.
Yeah.
This is a process with the
No,
town
I
and
understand.
board
I'm just
so-
asking questions. so
Yeah,
I
we
can
may have to
understand
put
more.
restrictions in place in terms of that.
Yeah.
We weren't anticipating much issue. That was actually some of the discussions we had with Bill when we were talking it through, but there are other stations going up in town. So I think people would utilize those. I think they came to us because we're one of the biggest employers in town.
Right.
There's-
But what would be the big advantage to having it at the schools, do you think?
Because I think we would encourage staff members to purchase EV cars and
They can
be
afford
tied into the solar panels, so we'd be kind of utilizing some of the electricity. And Bill did build the infrastructure
Yes.
already to handle that. And the town is looking at EV cars for their fleet as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's some of the pieces, but we'd also encourage people to charge and move their car. One of the questions I had was, so does that mean like a teacher would have to leave their class? Yeah, right, gotta go get in their car. And no, we wanted to make sure those restrictions. were
That's, I mean,
placed
it just
to make
seems to be a lot of.
Yeah.
But
For
I
the
think,
schools.
I think your point that we're the largest employer in
Yeah.
town makes sense that we would support the employees.
Yeah, and that's a good point, is that a lot of employers are faced now with the opportunity to offer EV charging stations almost as like a, one of the incentives to, or benefits to, attract good candidates and stuff. So it's got some potential drawbacks, it's got, some potential benefits, and, we will have plenty of time to discuss this a little further before any final thing is done. This is a concept. Yeah, this is a concept that we generally support it, but, I suppose if we couldn't find some way that we were happy to make it work, we can receive that support. It's just a kind of a vote of confidence now in favor of it.
Also sends a message to students going into the future that, these kinds of environmental practices are something that the district supports.
So, all right, so let me just reread the motion. Thank you for the engaging discussion. This is a motion by Emily, seconded by Jen, to express the support of the Board of Education for potential installation of EV charging locations at Brown, Polson, and Hand. Potential being the operative word. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you. Okay, so we now have an action item to approve the following policies. Now, these have already been under reading for their two full readings. So we can move forward with these without the policy chair present. These were just kind of pro forma unless anybody wants to pull out any of them and discuss them, which you will have the right to do after we move them. So motion to approve the following policies: 3100.3 petty cash accounts, 3130 money in school buildings, 3281 grants, gifts, and bequests to the district, 4116 alcohol, tobacco, and drug-free workplace, which would also operate to rescind number 4112.5 drug-free schools, 5090.7 drug, alcohol, tobacco, and inhalant use by students, and 5141 fundraising activities. And I just want to take a moment to explain that, again, you've had notes for these. We are moving to approve these policies, which in some cases subsume some of the policy matter, subject matter that were under other policies that were recommended for rescission. So we're kind of consolidating, updating, and adopting in many cases either direct statutory language or language proposed by our council, Shipman and Goodwin, and their tried and true versions of these. Any discussion on any or all of them? Oh, I need a motion first, I'm sorry. Motion, as I read those policies, to approve those policies. All right, so we'll go with Steve and seconded by Jen. Now discussion. Anybody have any questions or further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving those policies, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. All right, action item 13. I need a motion to approve the trip to Canada proposed for February 17th through 20th, 23. And these, the paperwork for that is included in your packet. So does somebody move?
So moved.
So moved from Kathy. Second? From Mary Ann. Any discussion?
I just want to note, one of the educational objectives, which made me smile, was overcome obstacles such as very cold weather and employ various strategies to manage them, developmental toughness. I smiled, but the trip is in February and I've been to Quebec in February, and I think that is, I just wanted to drive.
It's apropos. It's either apropos or they wanted to see if we were paying attention.
I love it,
So
I love
thank
it. Developmental toughness. You need to be tough in February in Quebec.
You're
So,
asking.
you. Yeah.
right? It looks like a great trip though. It looks
Yeah,
really
it does.
interesting.
the board has tended to favor either overseas or over border travel. So this would probably be a good opportunity for the students involved. And so any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? All right, motion carries 8-0. We're very agreeable tonight. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the April 5th, 22 Board of Education meeting. Jen, second.
Second.
Any discussion, any pullouts there for corrections or anything? No? All right, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Okay, so that also carries 8-0. Any old business? Anyone wants to raise? Any future agenda items that anyone would like to raise? Okay, the meetings and dates of importance are attached to your packet. It's mostly just upcoming meeting dates. So finally, well, not finally, but we have a motion and action item number 18 to enter into executive session to discuss the Teamsters union contract. Do I have a motion for that? And we need to invite Heather and Dr. Cook, or Heather Dobson and Dr. Cook into the executive session. Anyone in wants to bring that motion? So Jen, second.
Second.
Ryan Murray, thank you. I heard it from that direction, but I couldn't see, couldn't get my head around quickly. All in favor of entering executive session with Dr. Cook and Heather Dobson? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Okay.
Oh, look, Matt's still on it.
Okay, so returning from executive session, I need a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Jen, seconded by Maureen.
One of the apps.
Sorry, yeah, I took them from each side, trying to be equitable here. All right, any discussion about returning to regular session? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? All opposed, nay. See, any abstentions? None. Motion carries 8-0. And now, I need a motion to approve the Teamsters union contract effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, which was the subject of our executive session.
So moved.
Kathy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Marie.
See how you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? All right, 8-0. Motion carries. I need a motion to adjourn. Mary Ann, good one. Do we have a second?
Second.
Jen's thinking about staying a little longer. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, nay. Blah, 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 8-0. And we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Yeah.